welcome back to my channel. Today I bring you 5 books that are uniquely written. So there are these books that you find from time to time that have that little something that spices the reading up, and I found a few of them that I love with all my heart because of those special details, and I thought I'd share them with you. I want to start with We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, and this is a mystery book, so all I'm gonna say about it is it's about this group of friends that go to this island every year, and they are called the Liars. And something happens, we don't know what it is, but it's making everyone act weirdly now, and we go and discover what happens. And it's such a fun book to read, but the thing that really caught my attention when I read it, it's that it has these kind of stories, fairy tale-like stories that fit into the narrative of the book, and they describe key moments of the book, like there was a king in the island and he had 3 daughters and something like that, and it will describe or explain a plot twist or something that happens, and it's such a beautiful way to tell the story. I love those little things that it did, and I just really love that about the book. I think it adds to the whole mystery thing, and it's a really good way to like view things in perspective. So I really like that about the book. The next one on the list is Beren and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien, and this is from the Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings kind of world, and it's a story that happens in the world and that influences the stories and the culture of the main world, and you get a little bit of the story like in the main books, but this is like, it's not exactly a novella, but kinda the idea. It was published by the son of Tolkien after Tolkien's pass, and it tells us the love story of an elf woman and a man. So yeah, I really loved it, but when I went into the book, I thought I was gonna find something very different from what I found. It's told in a very documentary style. More than telling us just the story, tell us how Tolkien developed the story and what he thought at the beginning, how he wanted things to go in the beginning, and then the final product that actually he published and that fitted into the world and what he wanted to do, you know, and all the thought process that went through it, and all the changes in the characters, the names, the narrative, and details here and there of things that happen. And I thought that was so interesting, especially because you get parts where Tolkien's son is narrating and like, this is why he changed it, or the original idea was this and he changed it in this year, or stuff like that, which I think it's very interesting. And another thing is that it's narrated, the parts that are like the story are narrated in prose. They are poems, which I think it's really pretty because he wrote such beautiful poems. They are just so lyrical and I love them. And the whole documentary style, it's very interesting to read. I have never encountered another book that does that, and it's very interesting. And it was a little weird at the beginning, but it grew on me. It definitely grew on me. Another series this time that I wanted to talk about, it's the Legend series by Mary Lou, and the series is about a world in the future where America has some natural disasters, and it's divided into the Republic and the colonies, and we focus more on the Republic in the first book. And we have June, who is a prodigy, and the tests that they have that determines where they are going to study and how much they are going to get paid and stuff like that. She was the only one that got 100% in her score, and she's like the brilliant girl of the Republic. And we have Day, who is the most wanted criminal, not exactly a criminal, it's more like an outlaw that the Republic is looking to capture, and we follow both of them because June is looking to capture Day because she believes that he killed her brother. So yeah, that's the story of Legend, and the really important thing about it is not exactly in the narrative because Mary Lou's narrative is very simple. Not that that's a bad thing, it's very pretty but very easy to read and very simple, but it's in the way that it's presented in the book, and it's something I love since the first moment I knew that happened. And it's that we get the narrative from June and Day, and Day's chapters font, it's different color than June's, and I think that's very unique. And in the hardbacks we have, in the first book in Lane it's gold, in Prodigy the second book is blue, and in Champion the last book is red. And in the paperback editions we get both font when we go to Day's chapters, and June's chapters are just black, normal. So I think that's very interesting about the book. It really makes it a little more spicy. It's just a little detail, but those little details can do a lot for the narrative. And I thought it was brilliant when I read it, so I really love that detail. Another book, it's Wolf Song, and this is another series actually by T.J. Klune. And Wolf Song, it's a very familiar story about this child guy, because gross, ox, and he meets the Bennets, which are his neighbors and are very mysterious. Yeah, he makes friends with them. He becomes friends with them, and we see their relationship and discover why they are so peculiar. And you can probably guess what makes them so peculiar because of the name of the first book, which is Wolf Song. So yeah, it's a very familiar and about relationships, feelings, and has a lot of mystery too. But yeah, it's more about the feelings of relationship, a friendship, a family, and it's so prettily narrated. It's narrated in a way that you feel everything with all your senses. Basically, you get these colors that describe emotions, and I thought that was so interesting because it actually makes you feel the emotions a little bit more. Like blue, it's someone it's so blue, and you know they mean that someone is so sad. And I thought that was very interesting. Or they repeat a word several times, so it makes it more poignant, I suppose, and it adds a little bit. Or they have this complete way to describe something. Sometimes they will say something like, and they were like pine cones and candy canes, like epic and awesome, and that's a description of someone, and it's just very unique, and it just adds a lot to the narrative. You already know they are peculiar, and this way of describing everything, it's very submersive. It really makes you feel everything, and when I was reading it, I felt it with all my senses basically because of it, which is a very unique thing to do when you are reading. And I really love that, and it's in all the 4 books, well 3 because the 4th book is not out yet, but in the 3 books it's in all of them, and I can never get tired of it. And the last book of this list, but not for that reason less important, it's daysijones&thesix. This is another one that is not so much like the way it's written than the way it's presented. And this one, it's an interview style book, and we get, you know, the name of the person that is talking and all of that. And as a book, it's very interesting to read something like that. It really works more completely as an audiobook, which is just wonderful. The audiobook is just wonderful, and if you want to read the book, you should go to the audiobook. But it's just so unique, and we get this band, we get to see this band since its form and how they get to the top and become so famous, and then how they disband. And we follow some of the characters, like the life stories, because of the background check in the interview or whatever you call it. And I don't know, it was so interesting to see all of these and get all the perspectives, which made it also easier to follow so many perspectives, because in a book when you have multiple posts, it's a little confusing at times if not well done, and if there are too many it's just confusing. And here are like 6 or 7 different posts of people that we are just meeting, and the interview style really makes it a lot more easy to follow, which it's very peculiar and very fun, and I really loved it. I really love all of these books and how they are unique in their own way. Really, they just do something different that makes you remember the book. And I think that's very interesting and very important to make in a book too. Not just the story, but also those little details that spice the reading. Yeah, and I thought I'll share some of my favorites with you that I have found out about. If you know about any other uniquely written books that have just that something that makes it different and stand out, leave it down below in the comments. I would love to read about them and find out more of these wonderful books. And I really hope you enjoyed the video. And if you like it, leave a thumbs up. I'll see you next week. Bye!